Hey folks, Rob with Two Guys in a Ride, and today we are in Tampa, Florida at Gateway Classic Cars, and you can see just a few of the many cars they have. I think about 190 right now, cars that they have on consignment for you to buy at gatewayclassiccars.com. In just a moment, we're going to take a look at one special vehicle they have here, so stay tuned. Okay, as I stated just a minute ago, we are at Gateway Classic Cars, and I'd said we're going to meet up with Paul, but Paul got pulled aside, but we get the general manager of the Tampa location, and this is Harry. Harry, give me an idea. All your cars here are on consignment. How does that work for someone who wants to sell a car, and how does that work for someone who wants to buy a car from Gateway?
Okay, so as Rob said, we do consignment is primarily the majority of our business and our business model. What would happen, like in the example of this Monterey here, someone would have a car that they want to sell. They would bring it to us. We do some market evaluations on what the car seemed to be going for, and then we'd also see what they want to get for the car. And then we do our best to try to come to a good agreement where we can get them what they would like to get for the car, and also where we know we have a good chance of selling it at a good retail price. And then we put it up for sale for 3 months. And the contracts usually run on a 3-month contract. And if the car does not sell within 3 months, it'll just roll over. And we'll continue to try to sell it unless the seller decides they want to take it home, or extenuating circumstances like needing new inventory causes us to have to send the car home. But if the car does leave, it stays on the website. So we're still trying to sell it for you. It just won't be here physically in a warehouse.
Oh, well, that's nice. Okay. So I've got, tell me a little bit about Gateway. You've got 18 or 20
Gateway
locations?
has 20 showrooms.
Wow.
We're in roughly 18 to 19 states, if I remember correctly, because some of the states we have multiple showrooms. Like a perfect example is here in Tampa. We have the Tampa showroom, we got one in Fort Lauderdale, and we also have one in Orlando. So for Florida, we have 3 showrooms, you know. So, and then Texas has 3 showrooms as well.
Okay.
So 17 to 18, give or take, because some states we have multiple showrooms.
Right. Okay. I was able to go a couple years ago. I was traveling, doing some museums and stuff, and I was stopped at the one in St. Louis. That was fun to go to.
Yeah,
that
that's
one,
the original
which
one.
actually is over in O'Fallon, I believe it is, Illinois. So that's okay. Now, how does that work though? If I'm online, I imagine you got a website, and I go online and see all the inventory, right, of all the locations.
Yes, you can go on to our website, gatewayclassiccars.com. We have over 3,000 cars in the inventory. We are the biggest classic car dealer in the world. So there's plenty of inventory. There's plenty of cars to find and see. But the only thing that catches with that is a lot of people sometimes ask, if you see a car in one state, can I just have it shipped out to where I'm at, to the Gateway there, so I can look at it? Unfortunately, we do not do that. Since the cars are on consignment, we do not own them. They have to stay at the location they're at. But other than that, if you do see a car you like, you can come out and see it in person. You can send an inspector. You can send a friend. And on top of that, if you do buy the car, you can come pick it up. Or we don't normally recommend that because some of the cars, the vintage that they are, we can't trust it to make a long distance drive all the time. But we have shippers and brokers we work with, and we can get you shipping quotes, whether it's open or enclosed, or you can pull up with your own truck and trailer and pick it up yourself.
Okay, so if I'm in Washington State or Maine and I see the actual car I want on the website, but it happens to be in Tampa, I can send someone here to inspect it, and if I indeed want to buy it, I can handle everything online, and you guys, we can even arrange to transport the vehicle back to my home. Sir. Oh, okay. So that's you make it really tough.
We try to make it as convenient as possible.
You certainly do.
Like, we've been in business 20 years, and we wouldn't have gotten this far if we didn't learn the tricks of the trade and just try to make it an easy experience.
And I got to tell you, I mean, the amount, I think a lot of people that watch our channel are probably those people who have visited your website and gone through every inventory item you have, dreaming and drooling. So, but tell me a little bit then about what we've got here. This to me looks like just a plain Jane sleeper Mercury from the mid-60s.
On the surface, that's exactly what it presents as. Just a nice, clean 1966 Mercury Monterey 2-door hardtop. When you look at it, it looks like something your dad would have drove, or maybe the banker down the street or your uncle would have had, just this basic car that if he was around at the time, you might not think much of it. But the unique thing about this car is that it's a S55 Monterey, which was the sport edition of the Mercury Monterey. So it had a few choice upgrades as far as little interior upgrades and make it a little more sporty. But the really unique thing about this car, it's a 428 equipped car. So it has a 345 horsepower, 428 that's in this car. So this car definitely has no problem getting out of its own way. You would never suspect it looking at the hubcaps and the white walls and the generally stayed paint color and combo on it. But yes, this car is a little bit of a runner.
I think she's absolutely perfect. It looks like to me, you were talking about the banker or the accountant or dad or uncle. I see grandma getting out of this, but I think grandma could really get to church. She could never be late to church with this one.
Only thing that hold her up is gas pumps.
Right, she could pass everything but a gas station. But and this is kind of cool because now early 60s Mercury introduced the S mark for a or special, I guess it was, for a series of their cars. So this is S55.
Yes.
So it predates what a lot of people know as the sleeper Mercury.
Yes.
And the
Marauder.
Yeah, yes. The Marauder.
So this one, the way you get a good hint at that is on the air cleaner on this one, Ford put Super Marauder. So I don't know if that was the marketing for this generation of 428 in the Mercuries.
Right.
But it has Super Marauder on there, and we all know later in the late 60s, early 70s, we had the famous Mercury Marauder come out, which they later brought back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, exactly. And those things are still commanding decent pricing on those. So this is a Marauder before it actually got the nameplate on the vehicle, but it is, like you said, it's on the air filter cover.
Another unique thing about this one is this is claimed to be, and it appears as a survivor car, a real survivor car, which is rare nowadays in 2025. But I remember when I was younger in the 90s looking for cars like this or buying cars like this, you would see these in people's driveway all day. Car never been painted, never accident, never restored.
Right.
It would just be a good, clean car that's all original. This one, from everything we have, from what the seller tells us and from what it presents as, it is a survivor car. What you see is pretty much the way it left the factory, except for maintenance and perishable items.
Wow. Look at that. That's
it's a bargain at $29 for a 428 car.
Well, yeah, you guys currently have it listed. You can check it out. Right now, you can look online and see what they have it listed at. It's at $29,000, but that's a lot of car, and that's a lot of history. And again, survivor.
Yep.
Look at this interior, folks. Look at this. This is what got me. I'm walking past this car this morning when it's sitting in the showroom. And I'm like, oh, please, let's take this one out and talk about it. Look at that. Look at those seats. You got the beautiful center console. Oh, you got a tack down there. Okay, there's your giveaway. There's your, if the 428 didn't do it, that's your giveaway. But look at those seats. It's hard to believe that this is a survivor. It's been very well taken care of. So I'd imagine the rest of it is got to be just as nice, because this is the wearable part up here as well, and it's so super clean.
Yeah, this is, from what we can tell, it's a rust-free car. You know, other than light surface rust here and there and things like that.
Oh, sure.
But
you know, looking at this, it is kind of interesting. I see early Pontiac wheel covers that they kind of replicated. It looks to me like the old 8-lug.
Yeah, the 8-lug aluminum drum brakes.
Yeah, with the drum. I've always thought that was a cool look.
Yeah. Well, I love those. I'm a big wide track Pontiac guy. To me, they don't look right if they don't have the 8-lugs on.
Well, yeah, that's what I was kind of looking at earlier. It's like, what is it about those wheel covers? It's like, oh, wait a minute, that's what it looks like, but they're missing the lugs, because that, of course, is just the wheel cover. On the Pontiac, that was the
that was the actual brake,
actual wheel brake and everything. But man, oh man! But again, just you know, this pulls up behind you and you see it in the rearview mirror. You're not going to think it's anything special, but an old mid-60s Ford Mercury product. Wow, folks, look at that car. That is, you know, I love the fastback look. It's that swept look of movement, and it's not even rolling. Gosh. Classy all around.
Yeah, here how it closes.
Yeah, very solid. And you know, the interior is a little T-Bird-esque also. And you and I were talking a minute ago about how it seemed like a lot of in the 60s, the manufacturers were both, they must have had a hotline to the design office, everybody did, because what you saw in a Ford, you sometimes saw the same cues on a Chevy, on a Mercury, on a Pontiac.
Yeah, they're trying to one-up each other or don't want to be outdone.
Exactly. So look at that. Look at that. That is such a good looking car.
I like this car in particular too because GM was getting kind of heavy with their C-pillars on their fastback two doors.
Oh, sure.
But this one has a very delicate line right here where the roof
Oh,
has
it
a
does.
delicate curve to it.
But you know where, to me, what really picks it up is because this kind of blends with the black
Yes.
top, but it's this part that
Yep.
isn't just straight. And if you
Yeah,
look at
it
that,
complements the curve.
yeah, it does. It actually goes right along with it. It's got a little bend, a subtle curve in it that just gives it that look and that flow. And then, of course, you know, a lot of the cars were getting away from this. Lincoln famously did this when they came out with their Continental in
Yep.
60. That was all the way across, of course, all the way up the front fender and everything. Here, they've kept it on the rear, but not the front.
I always liked 60s cars. It took, when I was younger, I wasn't a big fan of 60s cars. And when I say young, I'm talking like 412.
Right, right.
Because, you know, you like the overwrought design of the 50s rocket ship looking up.
Oh,
but as
sure.
you get older, the 60s cars, I understand, they have a classless look, a classy look to them that doesn't age because to me, the way they're styled, it's like the equivalent of a nice 60s suit. They're just super clean, very minimalist, sharp lines, nice creases.
But you know, you really hit on it there because I think you've got to understand the over-the-top styling of Virgil Exner and those guys.
Yeah, and Harley Earl. Yeah, chrome on everything.
I think Chrome had chrome on it.
Yeah, and trying to chase the rocket age, and we're in the future now. And then it was post-war, so it was showing America's #1. You know.
Well, that's well. You think about it. If you take even the Chevrolet Impala line, Bel Air line. 54 was the high boy. Then, of course, you went to Tri-5s. Then you went 58 with a whole different body style. 59, 60, 60, all the way up to 65. I think it wasn't until 65 that was the last year that 66 really was just a slight model change. It wasn't a complete new design.
Yeah, no more redoing everything.
10, 11 years there, and it wasn't just Chevrolet. It was every manufacturer was
whole
doing
new grills, whole new front ends,
complete different
whole
body.
new stampings. Yeah,
yeah. And so you're talking about the power and the might and the feel good of post war and everything for the American economy. But you really have to appreciate all that and I do. I'm a kid of the 60s. To be able to look at this and appreciate the restrained temperament that they really would have had to dial back.
I know we were saying it earlier how we're pretty non-denominational with cars. We like them all.
Right, right.
And I know a lot about European and Japanese cars of the period. Okay. And what I always tell people is funny is you got to remember this was a standard American car that anybody could afford in 1966.
Yeah.
In Europe, the only way you could get something on this level of luxury and power, you had to be in a Mercedes or something better.
Oh, sure.
And in Japan, they weren't even on the map like that at that point. Everything was basic economy, basic cars at the time.
Oh, you look at, I mean, we've done on our channel, we've done early Hondas and early Toyota, the Toyota Crowns and little Honda N600s and stuff like that. And they were hardly anything. No power, and certainly not a big car, and it's certainly not the comfort and the style.
Like a go-kart compared to American cars.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it would be the length of one of the quarter panels or the fenders of this car. And then you're right, but in European, you would have had to be in a Jag, or you had to be in a Mercedes or something like that.
Even
or
a Bentley
Citroen
or Rolls or
Peugeot
something.
Or Bentley, But, you know, they make fun of us in Europe about our massive size cars. And this would have been
huge.
A big car at that time. But they were indeed bigger in the late 50s with the big Cadillacs and everything else. But that's what I was saying. I mean, you look back at this and you see the restrained tail fin. It's still there. They're paying homage to it, but when you're talking, I forget how many inches now. I used to remember that.
I would say this is probably like 218 inches or so.
Well, but I'm talking about the height of the tail fin. Well, like for the 59, Eldorado was like up to my nose. But now look at that. That's very, very restrained, but they still honored it with a little bit of detail there, and that tail light just kind of sticking out there, waiting for someone just to hit you right in the corner and bust it up. But
it looks good.
That was the point too. It looked good because at that time the designers still had say, and it wasn't the accountants.
And styling was like Harley Earl proved that styling sells. You know.
Oh yeah.
Styling sells.
Styling, colors. You know, they realized they couldn't keep doing different bodies every year, so then they had to actually sell trim levels and things like that. And I think that's why this S55 and so many others came about. Is because of that. They were having to take basically what they had and they added a few, like a friend of mine in Minnesota says, gewgaws, a few little doodads and chrome pieces, and in this case, 428.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 345 horsepower.
Yep.
Oh, you can't tell me that's not a sleeper.
Yeah. If this was my dad's car, I'd love borrowing it and doing burnouts with it.
Oh my gosh. Heck, I could just cruise the highway in that. Windows down. You got 455 AC. Beautiful. Well, Harry, thank you so much for sharing this beautiful car with us. We're going to take a look at a few more, so make sure you click on the link above. We'll put the link to those other videos. Again, we are at Gateway Classic Cars, and this is in Tampa, Florida. And this is a beautiful Mercury Monterey S55, or Marauder, if you will. She's beautiful. Thanks for watching.